What was the purpose of the mercy seat on the Ark of the Covenant? This is the question that we seek to answer today as we continue our verse-by-verse study of the book of Exodus on Walking Through the Bible. If you have a Bible with you, you can turn to Exodus 25. We're going to be reading from verses 17 to 22. If you don't have a Bible, don't worry. Just follow along with us on the screen. The version that we'll be reading from is the New King James Version. So, Exodus 25, beginning at verse 17. You shall make a mercy seat of pure gold. 2.5 cubits shall be its length, and 1.5 cubits its width. And you shall make 2 cherubim of gold. Of hammered work you shall make them at the 2 ends of the mercy seat. Make 1 cherub at one end, and the other cherub at the other end. You shall make the cherubim at the 2 ends of it, of one piece with the mercy seat. And the cherubim shall stretch out their wings above, covering the mercy seat with their wings, and they shall face one another. The faces of the cherubim shall be towards the mercy seat. You shall put the mercy seat on top of the ark, and in the ark you shall put the testimony that I will give you. And there I will meet with you, and I will speak with you from above the mercy seat, from between the 2 cherubim which are on the ark of the testimony, about everything which I will give you in commandment to the children of Israel. In chapters 25 through 31, we have Moses on the top of Mount Sinai receiving instructions from God, as well as the tablets of stone that would contain the testimony that God would give Moses. Due to all of the instructions that God gave Moses in these 7 chapters, it's no wonder that Moses was up there for 40 days and 40 nights. In yesterday's episode, we began looking at God's instructions for the Ark of the Covenant. The Ark of the Covenant was to be made of acacia wood and overlaid with gold. It was to be 2.5 cubits in length, 1.5 cubits in width, and 1.5 cubits in height. A cubit is about 45.72 centimeters, or 1.5 feet. So the Ark of the Covenant was to measure 114.3 centimeters by 68.58 centimeters by 68.58 centimeters, or 3.75 feet by 2.25 feet by 2.25 feet. There were to be 4 gold rings, 1 ring attached to each of the 4 corners of the ark. They were to be poles of acacia wood overlaid with gold that would be placed through the rings so that the ark could be borne on men's shoulders. Moving on to verse 17, we continue with the instructions for the ark. If you can think in your minds about what we've discussed so far, we have this box overlaid with gold that has gold overlaid poles passed through the 4 gold rings. Inside will be placed the testimony or the covenant that the Lord will give Moses. There is one thing that is missing, a lid. That's what today's reading deals with. What we have translated as mercy seat comes from a Hebrew word that means lid. When we think of a seat, we think of a chair or a couch or perhaps a throne. That's not really what we're talking about here. What is being described is a lid to cover the ark. Why then is it called a mercy seat? Well, as we have already read, the mercy seat is going to be the place that God meets with Moses and speaks to him. And it would also be the place where God would meet the high priest in the atonement service for the congregation once per year. So this mercy seat would not only be the physical covering for the ark, but it would also serve as the figurative or symbolic covering of sin on the Day of Atonement, a covering made possible by the mercy of God. As for its design, the mercy seat was not to be made of acacia wood overlaid with gold. It was to be made of pure gold, for this is where God would be present. The measurements of the mercy seat would be the same length and width of the ark itself. On each end of the mercy seat was to be 1 cherub, cherubim being the plural of cherub. A cherub would have been a winged creature, created being, probably similar to an angelic being, though seemingly distinct in class. We last ran into cherubim in Genesis 3:24 as those tasked with guarding the Garden of Eden and the tree of life after Adam and Eve were cast out. From the language used in this chapter, it appears that the mercy seat and the cherubim were constructed out of 1 piece of gold instead of fashioning each cherub and then attaching it to the mercy seat. What significance this holds, if any, I'm unsure of, except to say that this is what God commanded. The cherubim were to face one another and stretch out their wings to cover the mercy seat. God was not going to approach Moses or the high priest uncovered, for his presence is much too holy and much too glorious for man to behold as a sinful creature. So these cherubim covering the mercy seat would be one of the symbols of that covering of God from man. Once the mercy seat was made, it was to be placed on top of the ark, and again, we have God telling Moses that the testimony that God would give Moses would be placed in the ark. And as we have said a few moments ago, after the Ark of the Covenant was made, it would be above the mercy seat and between the cherubim. where God would meet Moses and tell him of the things he would later command Israel, and it would be above the mercy seat and between the cherubim, where God would meet the high priest on the Day of Atonement to receive the yearly sin sacrifice for the nation. So, of all the holy things that would be made, the Ark of the Covenant was the most important, for it represented where the presence of God was among the people of Israel. With that, our time is up for today. The Lord willing, we hope you'll join us for tomorrow's discussion of Exodus chapter 25, verses 23 to 30, as we continue our walk through the Bible, one verse at a time. Thank you for watching today's episode. We hope that you found it edifying and ask that you not only subscribe to our channel and podcast, but that you like and share this episode among your friends, so that the saving gospel of Jesus Christ can go out to the whole world.